Welcome, everybody, to another edition of WCW 2003 here as we continue the long road to Starrcade as we're at Nitro live from Ann Arbor, Michigan in front of a little over 13,000 people. But let's get started with our pre-show match. As in a poor pre-show match, Chavo Guerrero defeated Alex Wright, Kaz, and Evan Courageous in 15:30. When Chavo Guerrero submitted Evan Courageous, this gets a 59. It was weak link because, of course, it's Evan Courageous. Wright gets a 73, Kaz gets a 66, Chavo gets 67, and Courageous gets a 44. Solid win for Chavo, as I just sort of put him over, just keep him not that upset, but obviously he shouldn't be that unhappy because his brother is around and his uncle is around, and so I'm actually keeping him around instead of letting him go. Because let's be honest here, if I hadn't signed Eddie, Chavo would be on the unemployment line basically at the end of this year or whenever his contract is up. Regardless, let's get on to the actual show. As the youngsters put over, we have two big main events tonight, as it's... Oh, whoops, I forgot to take him off screen. Oh, well. Anyway, as we get two big main events tonight, as first, Sean O'Haire takes on Billy Kidman of the Triumvirate, as, we get the lead up to the big Sean O'Haire-Mike Gosselin match at Starrcade, and also we have a big tag team match as Jeff Hardy and Rob Van Dam team up to take on Morningstar and Lestat. As the youngsters also announced that officially, another match that has been added to Starrcade is Jeff Hardy versus Morningstar. So go ahead and I totally didn't actually add that match because I'm a very smart person. There we go. And then we actually go to the ring for our first match, which is a Cruiserweight match, as in an abysmal match. Ooh, okay, I forgot to make sure somebody was actually not a jobber here. Oh well, not in the world. Elix Skipper defeated Scott Taylor, La Parka, and Sabu in 6:59 when Elix Skipper pinned Scott Taylor with a quick cradle. So back and forth match. Basically, Skipper has Taylor in the ring by himself, and he just quickly rolls up, hits a big super kick or some sort of flippy move, and then quickly cradles Taylor, get the 3 count while La Parka and Sabu are both on the outside brawling. La Parka gets a 42, Sabu gets a 42, Skipper gets a 47, Scott Taylor gets a 50, and 38 overall, because none of these guys are over, but I mean, that's part of rebuilding a Cruiserweight division, is getting some guys over. And then, after the match, the chairman lays out Skipper with his chair and then plays guitar to get a 33. Yeah, I mean, not the best angle, but what can you do? Then we have a backstage promo where Ray Jr. is with Jeremy Borash, and he goes, Shane Helms has always been a great wrestler, but, he now, for the last couple years or so, he's been a conceited jerk just because he thinks he's the greatest wrestler on earth because he won the U.S. title a couple times. He's proud to be a wrestler, and he's always been undersized, but it's always about the size of the fight of the dog. And, Eric Bischoff made this Shane Helms' last chance, but, regardless of what happens at Starrcade, Ray Jr. is going to do his best, and he's been proud to be U.S. champion a couple times as well, but at Starrcade, he's going to put Shane Helms to rest once and for all. 70, solid promo, and there you go. Then, we come back from commercial, and we're backstage, and Booker's, giving tips to Rob Van Dam about both Morningstar and Lestat. RVD tries to point out he faced Morningstar and Lestat in matches before, but Booker's like, Secca, I know these guys, I've been fighting these guys for the last year. And then, suddenly Jeff Hardy comes in and sort of points RVD and, makes a signal that, they need to go from stuff. And as they walk out together, Booker seems a little upset. And this gets a 74. And it's just sort of, setting things up as we continue the run through the three-way match. And Jeff Hardy's big match with Morningstar. And then in a four-way match, as the announcers put over that at Starrcade, there will be a tag team gauntlet involving many of the tag teams not involved in the three-way tag team title match. But tonight is a qualifier, but the qualifiers is in a different way, as the loser of this match, his team will not be involved in it. So, we got Cash, Sean Stasiak, Paul London, and Yang. And in a poor match, which is mean, Sean Stasiak defeated Cash, Paul London, and Yang in 8:30 when Sean Stasiak pinned Yang with Fisherman Buster. This gets a 62. Cash gets a 63. Stasiak gets a 60. London gets a 74. Yang gets a 56. So, back and forth match, standard four-way, wackiness. But Stasiak traps Yang by himself and hits a couple big power moves in a row and gets a pinfall victory and gives Stasiak some momentum. This gets a 62. And then Stasiak celebrates with Donnery after the match to also get a 62. Again, not the best undercard, but this is what happens when you, actually have to put your undercard people on TV to build up some stuff. Then we're backstage with the entirety of the Helms legacy, as basically, Shane Helms says, the greatest U.S. champion of all time will get his U.S. title back at Starrcade, but that's not what important because a peon like Ray Jr., who had to be on a mask, doesn't really matter. What matters is the tag team gauntlet, which you've just shown that, my man Cash and Reno, the most underrated tag team in World Championship Wrestling, will run through every single team, no matter who they face, and then get that big tag title shot and then get the bolts. Amber O'Neal, sooner or later, will be, the sexiest woman in World Championship Wrestling, and Cash sort of smiles at that as a, kiss, and will be shown to be also be the future of women's wrestling, as the blonde bombshell will prove herself one way or the other. And of course, Scott Steiner, whoever I choose to face you tonight, is just going to be a preview of what's going to happen to you at Starrcade. And what will be proven is the Elm Dynasty is the future of professional wrestling. I said legacy. That's dumb. 65, solid promo. Everybody, involved, get to go over. And then we have a quick in-ring angle where basically Lexi James calls out Angel Fox for a match right now. She basically says it was BS that just because Angel Fox got a lucky win, that now she's out of the title picture for Starrcade. So Angel Fox comes down and accepts the challenge because, she's a good virtuous babyface, and the match is on. 63, solid stuff. And then, so an abysmal match, which gets a 54. Come on, that's mean. Lexi James defeated Angel Fox in 652 by pinfall after using after using foreign object. Basically, she plants her with the big DDT on a chair and then gets a pinfall victory after kicking the chair away the ref is distracted. Lexi gets a 41 mainly because she's injured. Angel Fox gets a 52, and this gets a 54 overall. And then Lexi celebrating afterwards gets a 62. And then we have our second big promo, as this gets an 85. Oh, son of a gun. I forgot to take the announcers off this. I mean, I don't think this is all on the announcers, but yeah, probably would have gotten maybe high 90s. God damn it. Son of a bitch. Well, what can you do? Anyway, Mike Tenay and Eddy go over, his history in WCW, his car wreck, his problems with Bischoff. They talk about going up north, and he says, he's not going to be one of the guys who's look at the opportunities he was given and pisses on them just because things didn't go exactly his way. But he realized, what his true goals would be. He would have to come back to World Championship Wrestling, and then they pivot, to the main event at Starrcade. So Kane's the fantastic wrestler. Actually one of the best wrestlers in World Championship Wrestling, but he's been stuck in the side that there's a conspiracy against him when he's just been unlucky. And also he's been hiding behind, his squeezed Joni. By the way, hi Joni, good to see you. But at the end of the day, Canyon, Chris, this belt means I'm the best wrestler in the world. All it takes is 1-3 count to take it away, and I'll bite, crawl, and bleed to stop that from happening. But prove yourself to the better man, I say. And let's actually put on a show at Starrcade. Because, I'm a Guerrero. And the Guerrero families are that the fans may cheer us, they may boo us, but we never worn the white hat. But we've always proved ourselves to be the best at the end of the day. 85, really good promo. But, yeah. And then we have an extremely quick squash as Mesias destroys Tarek the Great in 147. Says with the sickle of death, which I think is just sort of like the Russian sickle type move, but he just destroys this guy. 71, Mesias gets an 87, Tarek gets a 42, and yeah, just an absolutely destruction. And then post match, Goldberg comes down and stares down Mesias from the ramp, just basically to stop any sort of beatdown, and they just sort of stare down each other as everybody pops for the showdown that these two men are going to have in a couple weeks at Starrcade. 85, there we go. And then Bischoff, then comes down to the ring, and wow, okay, this is insane. I was not expecting this from Bischoff. Wow, okay, buddy. Anyway, Bischoff calls out all three tag teams, and this 99 is perfect because it really puts over the. Okay, so basically, he says, he's been talking to people all over the world about this match because it really needs to show who's the future of tag team and professional wrestling going into the rest of the 2000s. Now, he thought about a ladder match. Come on, there's been ladder matches before. He thought about a tables match, but there have been table matches before. He thought about some sort of no DQ wild tag tornado match, but that's also happened before. But what's truly never happened in the way that we're going to do it is a combination of all those things. So, at Starrcade, there will be the first ever Assault of Anarchy match. And what that match means is everybody's legal at all times. No DQs, no countouts, tables, chairs, Singapore canes. Hell, we'll even throw in maybe some glass around the ring. Regardless, there'll be whatever a little barbed wire boards, just a mess of possible destruction outside the ring, and up top will be a ladder, but it's not going to be a regular ladder, because instead of 15 feet above the ring, the belts will be above 25 feet above the ring, and most importantly, you'll have to climb up a super ladder in order to get the belts. So, gentlemen, get ready, because you'll have to survive the Anarchy to prove yourself to be the best tag team in the world. 99, awesome promo, and good thing I came with that. I'll talk about that. But yeah, I mean, basically, this is a TLC match. I mean, it's a TLC match, you know. It's not exactly a TLC match because I'm going to add some other fun stuff, but yeah. So, but for now, let's see, Air Raid, Who's Most Wanted, where are the last team? Heart Legacy, there we go. Yes, I know. I'll change that. And then we go on. So, come back from commercial. Scott Steiner comes down and says he doesn't care who he faces, just bring out the next SOB who's going to get his ass kicked. Fairly short promo. This gets a 69. And then we move forward to the actual match with Reno comes out, and about that good heat and decent wrestling, Scott Steiner just, defeats Reno in 554 by submission with a Steiner recliner. Just back and forth, total brawl. But Steiner eventually hits the belly to belly, locks on the recliner. Reno taps out, but that's mainly because, Steiner gets an 82, Reno gets 57, 65 overall. That's because Gigantes is coming in, they brawl, Gigantes has Steiner on the outside and chokeslams him through a table, and that gets a 70. And officially, when we come back from commercial, basically, it's put over that Steiner ranted WCW officials, and it's been signed. Scott Steiner versus Gigantes at Starrcade. Oops, that's not. Let's try that again. Okay, yeah. Okay, and then we have a Jamie Noble promo, along with, of course, his longtime, his new badass partner, Ebony Sable. He says, he's been so great as a cruiserweight champion already. The WCW is desperate to take the title from him, so they're bringing psychos, maskmen, weirdos from all over the world, but they're not going to be able to stop me because I have the brains, I have the brawn, as he pat Abzino's shoulder, and I have the gold. So there's nothing they can do. 46, because again, I rated Emmy to get him more over, and I sort of cost him a little bit, but not the end of the world. And then, so about that, superb wrestling, great heat. Strong Hair defeated Billy Kidman in 1250 by pinfall the Widowmaker. This gets an 80. So again, back and forth, really good match. O'Hare and Kidman are both really good wrestlers. O'Hare and Kidman have great chemistry. Kidman gets a friggin' 93. O'Hare gets a 90. And this is just, great U.S. pro style wrestling. O'Hare's, gets the hot beginning. Kidman comes back with heal, some good healing. Really digs it in. Even hits the Kid Crusher, but O'Hare gets his foot on the ropes. O'Hare makes the comeback. In the end, Kidman actually goes up top. O'Hare grabs him, wham, Widowmaker, gets the pinfall victory. As soon as the ref's palm hits 3, though, O'Hare, the rest of the Triumvirate are running down, and he's ready to, O'Hare's ready to get out of there, but just look over things real quick before we move forward. Okay, disrupted by injury and lack of heat from the associated storyline. Okay, so this probably could have been like a high 80s if not for the injury and the relatively low heat on the storyline. What happens is basically, yes, I see that. O'Hare basically slips out of the ring and goes to the crowd as the rest of the Triumvirate run in. Well, Kidman probably holds his ropes. And this gets a 69. And now it's main event time. So, wow. Okay, 91 with Lestat. Jesus. So in a superb match, Morningstar and Lestat defeat Jeff Hardy and Rob Van Dam in 1446 when Morningstar pinned Jeff Hardy. It says it was the last rights, but he just probably would have pinned him after botching interference by Booker T. So basically what happens here is, of course, there's a ref bump, wild stuff. Looks like, heels are going to come down and cheat, but, Booker comes down. I forgot to say Vampiro was at ringside, but Vampiro was at ringside. Booker chases Vampiro off. Booker then, grabs a chair, so pissed, goes after Morningstar, but Morningstar gets out of the way. He brains Hardy. Morningstar, hits a quick, hits a quick drop to send Booker out, and then, hits the pinfall victory on, gets pinfall victory on Hardy. So RVD gets a 91, Jeff Hardy gets an 81, Lestat 68, Morningstar gets an 86. And then we go forward. Yeah. So basically we end the show, we end the show with basically a segment where, Hardy is upset at Booker. Booker points, that they points at Vampiro, and then he sort of makes the motion that you guys were almost losing. Hardy pushes him back. RVD tries to get in the middle. Booker, we hear Booker saying, Secca, of course you're going to take his side. You two are two peas in a pod, aren't you? Same proclivity, Secca. And, basically, then in the background, we see Vampiro and Morningstar with sort of Cheshire Cat grins as the babyfaces are sort of falling apart. This gets an 85. Overall, the show itself gets an 89. So, really good show. Actually, surprisingly good show considering the bottom of the card. But I keep on forgetting that, you can have some fairly not great matches at the bottom of the card as long as you have, two really solid interviews. So, actually, that Bischoff interview probably saved our ass, considering, honestly, that Eddy interview sort of underperformed. And kind of why I'm getting sort of worried about Eddy's ability here. Let's see here. Mesias thinks you're not wrong, but you're also, not the guy to say that. Goldberg thinks Reno doesn't connect with the fans. Again, you're not wrong. Regardless, let's look at what Raw did. Let's see here. DDP and the Outcast defeated Grandmaster Sexy and TNA, 76. Scott Hall won a squash. Trish Stratus defeated Selena Majors. APA defeated Bump and Grind. Triple H defeated Randy Orton. And Team Angle defeated Angle and Gunn defeated Austin and tried to go by DQ in 100. Good stuff. And it just barely, right? Nitro, yeah, okay. They barely beat us, but still, solid stuff from them. Anything else of interest? Not really. Okay, so again, if we look at our storyline so far as we go through, the new Cruiserweight angle has a 34. Ouch. Flair for the Old is at an 82. Gigante Steiner's at 73. Goldberg, Hardy, Mesias Morningstar is at an 88. Holmes' Last Chance is at a 78. Johnny O'Hare versus Triumvarate is at 77. Road to Starrcade is at an 88. Tag Wars is at a 82. Vampiro Booker T RVD is at an 88, and the Women's Title Showdown is at a 54. If you look at our medical, let's see here. Okay, Kidman. Ooh. That's... Well, at least, yeah. It's unfortunate, but at least, to put it bluntly, at least the part where I have to deal with Kidman being injured, it's not a huge match that he has. But, it's still quite unfortunate. It's still something that I would rather not have. But yeah, just as a quick check, again, pre-booking, we've got the three-way, basically quasi-TLC match, Goldberg versus Mesias, Palumbo versus Flair, Grove versus Kane for the title, Hardy versus Morningstar, Steiner versus Gigantes, O'Hare versus Mike Awesome, Helms versus Ray Jr., Vampiro Booker RVD, and of course our Cruiserweight Invitational, which will include more people, and the Tag Team Gauntlet, which is basically going to include every tag team that you've seen on TV that isn't part of the three-way match. And it's going to be basically, just to go over the tag team gauntlet match, is going to be a series of matches with basically 10-minute time limits and just one way after the other, and the winners get a future tag title shot. I think that's it. Let me see here. Is there anything of interest? I forgot, was there anything of interest in the news lately? I don't think so. No. Okay. Oh, yeah. No. That's actually pretty much totally it. Okay. Yeah, so that's it for now. We've got one more week for the go-home show for Starrcade. Then we'll have the Starrcade preview, where, of course, for people who just want to drop in, or for people who, want some reminders, I go over every match on the show and, do a recap and a setup for the match. For some matches, it'll be fairly short. For other matches, it'll be insanely long. And then, of course, Starrcade itself. Then after that, it'll be the, year-end review shows, and then we'll be on to 2004. But, that's it for now. So if you've enjoyed the show, go ahead and give it a like. Comment below what you're enjoying and not enjoying. And subscribe to the channel for lots of more TEW 2020 content, including this series, my WCW 1993 with no Eric Bischoff series, MLW 2005, and, of course, Cornell vs. Weekends, which should hopefully be back in action. But that's it for now. So talk to you later, and have a good one.